Long before Bugatti became the fastest name on Earth, before million-dollar hypercars, and before world speed records, there was only one idea: to build automobiles that people wouldn't just drive, they would admire. At the beginning of the 20th century, most manufacturers were focused on one simple goal: move people from one place to another, faster, cheaper, more reliably. But Bugatti never wanted to build ordinary transportation. Every automobile leaving its workshop was expected to be elegant, beautiful, and engineered with extraordinary attention to detail. It was an ambitious philosophy, one that quickly earned admiration across Europe. But it also came with a hidden cost. Perfection is expensive. Art is difficult to mass produce. And sooner or later, that obsession with perfection would collide with reality. The warning signs were already there. No one noticed them. At first, Bugatti's philosophy appeared to be working. Across Europe, its automobiles earned a reputation for exceptional craftsmanship and engineering. Rather than building large numbers of vehicles, Bugatti focused on building fewer automobiles with extraordinary attention to detail. Every curve, every mechanical component, and every design choice reflected that philosophy. According to historical records, Bugatti's racing successes helped introduce the company to a much wider audience. Its victories weren't simply trophies. They became proof that beauty and engineering could exist together. As demand continued to grow, so did Bugatti's reputation. For many customers, owning a Bugatti became a symbol of craftsmanship, rather than simply transportation. For a time, everything seemed to be moving in Bugatti's favor. Its reputation continued to grow, and its automobiles were admired far beyond France. But building extraordinary automobiles required extraordinary resources. Each vehicle demanded time, precision, and craftsmanship that simply couldn't be rushed. That approach created remarkable machines, but it also made production slow and expensive. Meanwhile, the automotive industry was beginning to change. More manufacturers were expanding production. New technologies were appearing. Competition was growing stronger. The market was evolving, faster than ever before. Bugatti remained committed to its philosophy. But history has shown that even the finest craftsmanship must eventually face changing economic and industrial realities. And those realities were about to arrive. For years, Bugatti had built its reputation in a world that rewarded craftsmanship. But that world was changing. The decades that followed brought economic uncertainty, political instability, and challenges that affected industries across Europe. Like many manufacturers of the era, Bugatti was forced to operate in an environment that had become far less predictable than the one in which it had first succeeded. Demand no longer followed the same patterns. Markets became more difficult, and maintaining the standards Bugatti had become known for was never inexpensive. The company still produced remarkable automobiles. Some of its most celebrated creations would emerge during this period. But admiration and financial stability are not always the same thing. A company can be respected, praised, and even admired around the world, while facing pressures that remain largely invisible to the public. And over time, those pressures began to accumulate. The foundation was still standing, but cracks were starting to appear. By the late 1920s, the automotive industry was entering a very different era. Economic conditions were becoming increasingly uncertain. Then, the Great Depression spread across much of the world. Many industries felt its effects. The luxury automobile market was no exception. For companies that specialized in handcrafted, high-cost automobiles, the environment became far more challenging. Bugatti was still admired. Its engineering standards had not disappeared. Its reputation remained strong. But admiration alone could not guarantee long-term stability. At the same time, a new generation was beginning to shape Bugatti's future. Jean Bugatti, the son of Ettore Bugatti, had become deeply involved in the company. Historical records describe him as an important designer and engineer who played a major role in several of Bugatti's most celebrated automobiles. Many believed he represented the future of the company. But that future would be interrupted far sooner than anyone expected. In 1939, Bugatti suffered a loss that would change the company's future. Jean Bugatti, who would become one of the driving forces behind the company's design and engineering, was killed during a road test involving the Bugatti Type 57. He was only 30 years old. His death was a devastating blow, not only to Ettore Bugatti, but also to the future direction of the company. According to historical accounts, Jean had played a major role in shaping Bugatti's next generation of automobiles. Many believed he would eventually lead the company into a new era. Instead, that future was suddenly gone. Only a short time later, Europe entered the Second World War. Factories across the continent faced enormous disruption. Production slowed, operations became increasingly difficult, and many manufacturers struggled simply to survive. Bugatti was among them. The company that had once represented artistic engineering was now fighting against circumstances far beyond its control. By the end of the 1940s, the Bugatti that had once amazed Europe was no longer the same company. Years of economic hardship, changing markets, and the disruption caused by the Second World War had taken a heavy toll. The company continued making efforts to move forward, but the automotive world had changed dramatically. Manufacturers with larger production capacity, greater financial resources, and modern manufacturing methods were beginning to dominate the industry. Bugatti's strength had always been craftsmanship, but craftsmanship alone was becoming increasingly difficult to sustain in a rapidly changing market. Following Ettore Bugatti's death in 1947, the company struggled to regain the momentum it had once enjoyed. Over the years, production became increasingly limited. New models appeared less frequently. And eventually, the original Bugatti company ceased automobile production. For many people, it seemed that Bugatti had become part of automotive history. The story appeared to be over. But it wasn't. Not even close. For years, the Bugatti name remained silent. Many believed its story had ended. But decades later, an Italian entrepreneur saw something different. Not just an old automobile company, but one of the most respected names in automotive history. His goal wasn't simply to bring Bugatti back. It was to build a new generation of automobiles worthy of the name. That vision led to the creation of the Bugatti EB110. When it was introduced in the early 1990s, it immediately attracted worldwide attention. Its advanced engineering, carbon fiber construction, and four-wheel drive system placed it among the most technically ambitious supercars of its era. For a moment, it looked as though Bugatti had achieved the impossible. The legendary name was alive again. But history had one more surprise waiting. The return of Bugatti captured the automotive world's attention. The EB110 demonstrated that the legendary name still had the ability to produce extraordinary automobiles. But building one of the world's most advanced supercars required an enormous financial commitment. Development costs were high, production remained limited, and despite the praise it received, the business struggled to become financially sustainable. In 1995, Bugatti Automobili entered bankruptcy. For the second time, the Bugatti name faced an uncertain future. Once again, it appeared the story had reached its end. But one of the world's largest automobile manufacturers saw something others still believed in. In 1998, the Volkswagen Group acquired the Bugatti brand. Its goal was ambitious: to build the world's most extraordinary road car. Years later, that vision became reality. First came the Veyron, then the Chiron. Automobiles that broke records, redefined engineering, and restored Bugatti as one of the world's most recognizable luxury performance brands. Looking back, Bugatti's story was never simply about speed or luxury. It was about surviving challenges that ended the journey more than once, and still finding a way to begin again. That may be the company's greatest achievement of all.